It's a bit of a myth that you have to have that perfect, rich, black gold soil to start a garden. That's never been my experience. When we purchased this land here, it was a longan orchard. Prior to that, it had been growing rice. Both those crops get quite a lot of chemical put on them over time, and our soil was depleted. Our soil was actually just dirt. Maybe you've moved into a new garden in a rural area, or maybe you've moved into a new home or a new garden in the city or in the suburbs, and you're going to find that you've got depleted soil there too. Usually they'll scrape off the topsoil and leave you with rotten clay, which is just horrible to try and garden in. But all is not lost. It takes time, it takes some energy, but the rewards of starting a new garden and building your soil from scratch are unbelievably beneficial to everything from that point on. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary if your soil is so bad, if you're just working with really dense clay, you'll need to buy topsoil in. This will be easier to work with, but it's not necessarily going to be able to grow your vegetables very well because it's going to be dead. There's not going to be any organic matter in it. There's not going to be any life in it. So you'll need to nurture it, you'll need to look after it and provide a lot of input to the soil to really get it to a state where it's going to provide you a thriving garden. And the way we've done that is to take it a step at a time, or a plot or an area of the garden at a time. We've got about an acre of land here, and it was far too much to be able to concentrate on gardening the whole thing at once. We'd just built a house, we'd just moved in, we had a lot of other work to do. So we concentrated on sections of it. And the other thing that happened while we were doing that was that we realised, as I'd mentioned in a previous video, that I'd initially put our vegetable garden in a location that was not really ideal because it was getting full sun and full rain all the time. Over time, we've grown shade trees, and so we've got a bit more flexibility. And we've worked on this plot of land behind me that is now our vegetable garden. So we concentrated hard, we worked hard, and we focused our attention on this one area where the soil was reasonable. We've got 3 zones here in our land because it slopes from the top. The soil at the top of the section was absolutely fantastic. I think because there'd been an open canal and there'd been water just seeping into that for a long time. There were worms up there, the soil was richer, there was more organic material in it. Further down here behind the house, yeah, the soil was okay, but it was dead. There was no organic matter, there was no life in it. It had been starved out by the chemicals that had been used on the land for a long, long time. And then further down at the back, originally there was a pond there, and we'd left that there for a few years and then decided to fill it in. So we took the soil, the dirt from either side, and filled the pond in. And so those areas on the left and the right of the pond are now soil that had been deep underground forever. And so, yeah, it's rocky, it's clay, it's really hard. And so we are now continuing to work at the back to regenerate, rejuvenate, and build up good soil so that we can continue growing more vegetables and more fruit trees down there. Down here is where we level the land, and it's hard as anything. This is what it does to my spade. And so I knew that if I tried to tackle this all at once, it was just going to break me, probably break me physically, certainly break me mentally to try and get it done in a short amount of time. So by concentrating on this one patch, we've been able to grow legume crops. We planted sunn hemp here. We've also put in a lot of cattle manure. We've also put in a lot of compost that we make ourselves and other liquid amendments, all organic, all natural, to bring the microbial life back into the soil. And happy to say it's worked really well. We've still got to continue to feed it and continue to feed it and continue to feed it, because that's life in the tropics, and those microbes never rest. They're always consuming, they're always wanting to break down the organic matter that we're putting into the soil to make it available for the plants, and the plants use it. But in cooler climates, the soil will sleep for a season over the winter time, and so the depletion is more slow. Here, the soil gets depleted a lot more quickly because we're in a tropical zone. And sure, it's a long-term investment. I'm loving gardening here. I've never had a garden that I've worked on continually for 8 years ever before. And so it's wonderful to see the results. But it is a commitment. It does take some work, but that's part of the pleasure of having a garden. So here in our vegetable garden, I've just redone this plot here. I've reworked it. We've put some shade up, and I've put in a lot of organic compost and biochar. I've got bits of biochar in here, and the soil is just fantastic. It's beautiful. I've never worked with such beautiful, rich soil as this. And so as we've worked with the land season by season, we've also watched the trees grow up around our vegetable garden, particularly down this end. We've got some trees that provide some good shade for it, and this also helps the soil because it shades it from the harsh sun beating down on it. We also use live mulch cover crops to put shade on the soil, and we mulch it with bamboo leaves and other organic matter to keep the harsh sun and the heavy rain that's coming in our rainy season off the bare soil, because that only tends to compact it and make it much, much more difficult to work with for both myself and for the plants. And in the past, we did use rice straw that we purchased from our neighbours to cover the ground as a mulch, but now, as the bamboo's grown, as our other trees have grown, we're able to have enough good, rich organic mulch that grows on our own property, and we don't need to buy in from outside. We're also not buying compost now because we've got such an abundance of organic material that we don't actually need to purchase compost in from outside, which is really great. So let me encourage you, if you are just starting a garden on land that's been depleted or land that's been stripped of its topsoil, persevere. It does take a little bit of time, it does take some effort. It's not always convenient, but usually what's convenient is not beneficial in the long term. So enjoy it, get into a rhythm with the land, get a feel for your garden, start applying compost and mulch and really looking after it. Photosynthetic bacteria is another great thing that'll help build microbial life back into your soil. And if you're interested to learn more about that, you can check out this video next. And thanks very much for watching this one all the way through.